Good morning or afternoon, wherever you may be. Hold on 1 second. Let me make sure that the tech is ready over here. Suddenly I have a New Jersey accent. 1 second. All right. And welcome. My name is Dan Brown of danbrown.net. My thing is helping you as a as a non-traditional entrepreneur, whether you're a side hustler, a solopreneur, what have you. This is an exciting week. I'm almost out of breath, which we're actually going to talk about. Ironically, one of the books I'm talking about talks about your breath. I'm almost out of breath because this is the big week. This is the week that I've been waiting for. Some of y'all have been waiting for. This is big. Build from now. How to know your power, see your abundance, and nourish the world. It is out at midnight tonight. I'm talking Wednesday, January 27th, midnight tonight, wherever you happen to be. If you pre-ordered it, it's going to appear on your shelf digitally. If you got the audiobook, you might have got it early. Congrats to you. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Feel free to do a review. Let me know how you feel about it. If you got the paperbacks, they're shipping out right now. Super cool. I'm so proud of this book. It's my 25th book. As I told y'all on my email list at you see that over there, joindamon.me. I told y'all the other day, actually it might have been this morning when I sent out the weekly newsletter, that this is like my first book, like 25th book. It's like I'm doing it all over again. Love it. The main thing I talk about here is how to maximize your resources and to make the best of whatever you got. And it's so important to work from that standpoint where you're basically building from now. And that's essentially the name of the book. Last year was such a tough year. This year is still a tough year, even though we're just a few weeks in. So, especially here in America, there's been so much stuff going on. What I tried to do when I wrote this book last year is provide a guidebook, guidepost, blueprint, whatever you want to call it, for the journey that we're currently on. And it's like once we are able to navigate all the challenges that we have, or at least start to navigate them, we haven't navigated anything, what exactly we're going to do once we've kind of cleared some of the chaos. You have to build from now. The question I got so much last year, particularly from my coaching clients, even fellow coaches, is the question of what do we do now? I'm trying to provide the blueprint for that. So it is available all over the place. Super excited about it. Let me throw some links up there so you guys can grab it. If you're on Amazon, then it should light up. That's the book. It's available again, paperback and digital, Kindle, and other platforms. Also available as an audiobook. I love the audiobook. Hope you guys enjoy it too. Right now it's available on Amazon, Kindle, and paperback. You can do the link right there. It should be highlighting for you. You can also grab the Audible through Amazon, but you can also go to my special link. It's bit.ly, which is a shortener, bit.ly/buildfromnow. Easy to remember, bit.ly/buildfromnow. You type that in, you'll go to my Audible page where you'll be able to grab Built From Now as well as the previous books that talk about kind of like what we can do to create some amazing stuff from where we're at right now. It's also available on Apple Books if that's your thing. Also Apple audiobooks. I didn't realize they were together, but now they've merged them together. So the audiobook has been on there, got on there early. And then I just got notice from Apple that it's going to be, the book's going to be live at midnight tonight. So I'm not playing around where if you pre-order, it's going to be waiting for you, maybe even 9 p.m. your time. If it happens to be, you happen to have an East Coast account, because I'm over on the West Coast in Las Vegas. Anyway, you can do bit.ly/Damon Apple Books. That's the joint with that. If you're into the indie bookstores, and I support them, I love them. They're really supportive. When I started my career, I'm still supportive now. I can't wait to get back on the road and support all of y'all, especially like Pals, Quimby's in Chicago, Green Apple, and SF. The list goes on, like amazing indies. Those down in New Orleans, where I live down there, like over in Farborough, Maryland, not too far from where I used to live. Just anyway, there's amazing indie stores. They're all on here. So if you want to support the indie stores and me as an indie producer, because this is my self-published imprint, then you can go to bookshop.org/shop/BrownDamon. And if you want to get it directly from me, you want your signed copies, you want your merch, having the Built From Now insignia on there, or if you want to get a mug from my previous book, the predecessor, I can't even do this straight, the predecessor, Bring Your Worth, then you can get a Bring Your Worth mug over there. Come on over to damonbrown.net. That's my hub. come through. You can watch my talks. You can learn more about my one-on-one coaching, which is similar to this, except it's tailored to you, and we're talking one-on-one, obviously live. You can learn more about all the different stuff that I'm doing, read my ink column over there and so forth. And if you go directly through me, you get the signed paperback. You also get a special bonus gift as you do the pre-order. But the pre-orders obviously end at midnight tonight, my time over on the West Coast, midnight Pacific time. The pre-orders end, and the book is officially out. You can also get the gift box, the gift set, or the box set, whatever you want to call it, for Build From Now, the predecessor, Bring Your Worth. Again, Wish I Had Octopus Hands, and Ultimate Bite-Sized Entrepreneur. I'm goofy today, so forgive my silliness. But that's what's up. That's what's happening. All that out of the way, I know we're going to talk about how you can make yourself stronger today. I just want to get that out because I'm so geeked about it. So I want to let y'all know what's happening. Lastly, Bring Your Worth TV. I've been on YouTube and getting serious about it over the past month. So every day for the past month and schedule out until the spring. At this point, it's getting there. Every single day at 11:30 a.m. Aside from these Wednesdays where I'm connecting with you, there will be a program that pops up 11:30 a.m. every day, including the weekends, where it's a 5 to 10 minute segment talking about the stuff we talk about on this program. And I love being able to connect with you. I love embracing the community and giving you gems, extended gems from my ink column, extended gems from the book, again, Built From Now, and the inside stories. And also I'm looping in all the cool interviews, and they're already starting to hit over there, but all the cool interviews I'm going to be on. I cannot wait to tell you about it. We're getting them, we as in me, because I'm an individual, I'm a solopreneur, and the people who are going to be interviewing me. It's going to be hot, and it's going to be some really good discussions that are happening. I don't want you to miss any of it. You go to youtube.com/BrownDamon. That's a link for the subscription. Even if you go to youtube.com/BrownDamon, just check out the show every single day, 11:30 a.m. I'm going until the wheels fall off. So we'll be doing it every day until we do it every day. But I already got stuff in the bank, and I got some powerful interviews. And not me interviewing other people, but other people interviewing me. And I'm flattered that some of the folks that want to reach out and have a conversation about building from now. All right. Finally, that was the longest intro ever. Forgive me. as I said in my newsletter, and as my buddy Raymond Johnson said, please have patience with me, which I think is the best way to say it instead of apologizing. So shout out to him. All right. So what we're going to talk today is something very specific, which I'm actually personally feeling. When you're going through life, and it sounds like this is going to be a sermon, when you're going through life, you're going to get tired. I talk about this in the original Ultimate Bite-Sized Entrepreneur. Again, it's all available on Amazon and other platforms. So it's been out for a few years. But if you read that book or you read The Productive Bite-Sized Entrepreneur, which is a subset of the trilogy, you know what I'm talking about, where there's a natural cycle to things. Me getting this book out, it's 30,000 words, which is a lot. And I did that during our sheltering in place, during the pandemic and so forth. And it's strangely quiet, so I might need to check on them while taking care of my two kids who are 7 and under. I'm the primary caretaker. And so there's going to be times, no matter how passionate you are, how much you're feeling it, how excited you are for what you want to do, that you're going to be exhausted. I'm going to be honest for a second, which hopefully I'll be honest more than a second. This morning, I was just exhausted. There was so much stuff going on. Again, I'm lining up stuff literally until next year. You know what I mean? Like, I'm strategizing like crazy. Pretty sure I'm going to be spilling into 2023 in a minute with the stuff that I'm thinking about, the groundwork that I'm laying. And I was so tired. I take a daily nap. That's part of my thing. We'll talk about that. I was so tired, I had to stop what I was doing and just take a quick shower, which is a luxury when you have 2 little kids at home. But I took my time, took a quick shower, and I took like a 5-10 minute nap, set the alarm. And I feel better, but I had to stop. D Nice recently talked about that, who's the now famous DJ. I remember him growing up because I'm a hip hop fan. D Nice recently talked about that on Instagram. If you don't know, I actually talk about him in Built From Now. But essentially about a year ago, when the pandemic hit America pretty hard, he started, he's a professional DJ. He used to be a rap artist. He's connected with KRS-One, a lot of legendary people. Shout out to Scott LaRock, who passed away many, many years ago, but is part of the legendary community back in the Bronx. Anyway, DJ D Nice was just at an Instagram post earlier this week. I wish I threw up the link, but if you go to DJ D Nice, just D Nice on Instagram, you can find it. And he said he was so exhausted because every single day he's been DJing, and he's DJing for us for free. I'm sure he's got sponsorships at this point, but DJing for us for free and bringing all these people together. And he's been doing what he calls club quarantine. And so it got so big that the former, former First Lady Michelle Obama came through, Oprah came through, like it was on that level, particularly for the African-American elite. And he just said, I've been working every day for the past year. And I've been in bed for the past 36 hours. I don't have COVID, I'm just passed out. That's how I felt this morning. And so what we're going to talk about today are the 6 different ways you can actually feel stronger. Because there are different practices of it. There's an excellent image that I ended up putting on the promo. Let me go ahead and throw that up on here, see if I can. I think I can do that. Let's see if I can. I'm going to do a quick experiment on live. Let's see what happens. I'll see if I can throw up the image for y'all. Because I'm used to doing this on my YouTube, but it's a little bit different over here. Here's the image. Let me see if I can throw it up. So let's see. So we have this, and we're going to do, no, not that. Again, as my buddy Ray says, have patience with me. Let me see if I can put it into the comments, and maybe I can do it like that. Looks like it's not quite working. That's okay. But if you go back to the original picture, whether it's on Amazon or you go back to the original picture on any platform that you happen to be looking at, then you end up having 6 different ways of finding the peace, inner peace. And I think that's such a beautiful way to look at it. And what I found is that having these methods to your madness really, really helps. Speaking of, and shout out to the people saying hi. Hi, Madeline. How are you? Speaking of, I totally forgot about it. I am so excited that I forgot about it. I'm also going to be taking over Costco. So tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, my time. So that's Thursday, Thursday, January 20th. Tomorrow, 3 p.m., I'm taking over Costco's Instagram. If y'all been following for a while, you know I have a semi-regular column, I'll put it like that. So I contribute to them quite a bit over at Costco.com, or I'm sorry, at Costco Connections. I think it's like the 10th biggest magazine in America. But automatically goes to Costco subscribers. If you have a Costco membership, then you've probably seen my face in the magazine. We are partnering up to launch Build From Now. Again, my new book, I Am Geeked. What we're going to be talking about specifically is working from home with kids. I might know something about that. And so I'm going to be taking over the Instagram. We're going to be doing an Instagram Live. It's going to be like 20 minutes, maybe 25. We'll see what happens. I tend to be loquacious. We'll try to keep it under a half an hour. But thank you to Costco for trusting me with your Instagram and for celebrating this awesome moment with me. Like, I'm geeked, as you can tell. That's one of the many, many things that's going on. But come through, give your questions, give your comments, give some love over there, give support, and shout out to Costco for giving me the platform to do that. Anyway, as you're working on your different things, as you're an entrepreneur, as you're a creator, as you're building cool stuff and trying to impact the world, it's so important that you take care of yourself. I'll be getting into this as well, like I talked about with Costco tomorrow at 3 p.m. over on their Instagram at Costco. And you have to find a way to develop that self-care, to develop that strength, to build from now, but to also stop to reflect and to pause. There's big projects I'm working on right now that are beyond build from now, because the book has been done for a little while. So now it's been building the structure because the foundation is built. So the other things that I'm working on, and I shelved them, I put them to the side because I want to make sure that I'm fully present for my kids, which is tough, and also to be fully present, as a partner because I'm married and all those good things. And so we're going to break down. Oh, now I finally got the image. This is from the Find Joy app. Again, if you go back to the original title, you can see the picture. Sorry, I'm relatively new at this, so I don't know how to throw the picture in there. But I will work on that. I promise I'll work on that and get better about that next time. And so there's 6 different ways that you can, as Find Joy app says, find your medicine and use it. And I love this term. The image is gorgeous. Again, go back to the title. You'll be able to see it. So the first way to do it is to find inspiration. Inspiration can be a sense of renewal. It doesn't have to be you writing a book. It doesn't have to be you doing a screenplay or you drawing a picture or becoming an artist or something. You don't have to wear a beret and move to France. You don't have to do that. Inspiration just means creating. When I look at my little kids, they play with Legos a lot. The big one plays with the little Legos, and the little one, of course, plays with the big Legos. And just sitting with them and just creating. And it gets me into a space where it's like, oh yeah, I should launch the book that way. And oh yeah, I should reach out to this person, to do some coaching. And oh yeah, that should be the ending of my next keynote. Like, it just gives you that perspective of getting inspired. So on that note, the first book I would recommend, if you want to talk about inspiration, is The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Sorry, I don't have the space to put their full names on there because I had so many books to recommend. I mean, there's 6. Excellent book. I've gotten to know Stephen a little bit and corresponded with him. He's just as genuine as he is in the book. And the book really talks about, ironically, not waiting on inspiration. To paraphrase him, and to paraphrase actually many of my journalism teachers in grad school, inspiration comes when you have behind the seat. Like, even I have sketches as far as what I'm going to talk to y'all about today, and I have a blueprint. And of course, I'm used to speaking to y'all, which is cool. It's like the 10th or 11th time that I've been on the live stream every week for, however many weeks that is, 10, 11 weeks, 3 months or whatever, since late last year. But I'm not saying I have to be inspired to talk to you. Instead, I'm saying I'm going to chat with y'all and give insight, advice, have conversations about important topics as we're trying to make the world better. And it's going to happen every single Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Like I said, I just took a nap before I got on here. That doesn't mean I'm in the perfect mood to connect with y'all. It means because I'm committed to connecting with y'all, I'm inspired to do so. The War of Art says that even more articulately than I can. And it breaks it down so beautifully. In fact, I have I got my dog-eared cover. Again, shout out to Steve. It's dog-eared. Like, I got into this book when I got into entrepreneurship. I wish I found the book sooner, because the book is probably about 15, maybe 20 years old. So it would have came out probably around the time I was in grad school, and I missed it. And I forgot, it might have been my mother, Bernadette Johnson, shout out to her. But it was someone who gave it to me, and it totally changed the game for me. So if you're looking to get inspired, this tells you how to get inspired within yourself. You don't need a magic formula. I'm a one-on-one business coach. You might not even need a coach. And that's my interest. What you might need is to be committed to the practice. Shout out to Seth Godin. But be committed to the practice of creating versus waiting to get committed to creating. All right. So War of Art, Stephen Pressfield. And again, I've gotten to know him a little bit. He walks the walk. He's not just talking the talk. And so he's a good person to talk to about that. The second thing, if you want to go ahead and use your medicine, is what this beautiful graphic talks about on the title screen, is leaning into Mother Earth. That might be going outside. That might be taking some fresh air. It might be taking a nap. Where, for me, that's part of my rejuvenation. And a good place to start for that is The Power of Onlyness. Sorry for the typo there, but the links do work. The Power of Onlyness, it's by Nilfer Merchant. That's another person I've gotten to know through TED. But she talks about finding your individuality within a group. And the discussion here is really this dynamic tension. And her and I just talked about this recently. But you can be on your own and do great things, right? I'm a solopreneur. The first company I founded was I didn't have any co-founders, so I did everything, literally everything on my own. I run an independent business. I don't have any employees. Like, so in some ways, I'd be the definition of being independent. But there's that tension of being independent, but also needing a group to give you motivation. Even that's a little bit different than inspiration, but giving you motivation, giving you structure, giving you guidance. I just had a conversation with a friend of mine, shout out to Jeanette Hurt today, and we're talking about strategy. You know, her and I are both independent. You still need someone to talk to about that. And so it's so important to structure those things. But one of the main reasons why I'm mentioning Niloufer on here, and let me pull it up real quick. One of the reasons why I'm mentioning Niloufer is that she has one of the top TED Talks ever. Actually, I think she might be in the 5%, which is I've done 4 TED Talks. I don't think I'm anywhere near the top 4%. Not to rag on myself, but just spitting facts. But I'm actually gonna throw it into the chat. And her TED Talk is, it's ugly, but the links are there. Her TED Talk is about why you should take a walk. The power of walking. The TED Talk is like 4 minutes. It's similar to my very first TED Talk, which was 4 minutes as well. Mine was 3.5. I think hers was like minutes. The power of taking a walk. That's why I mentioned it in here. She speaks some of that gospel again in The Power of Onlyness. Again, really good book. It's available audiobook and all these other platforms. I think the paperback came out a couple years ago, but I have the hardcover, of course, because I'm a fan. But check out her TED Talk. It is phenomenal. There's a reason why it's in the top 5%, whatever. And I'm talking about the top 5% of all TED Talks made. So it's no joke, but it's really quick. It's excellent, but it talks about the power of walking. I try to walk every single day. We just moved to Las Vegas a couple of years ago. I can't do it every day because sometimes it's 120 degrees outside, so I'll do it late night. Today, we actually had snow recently, believe it or not. You can check the social media. So I wasn't able to walk at night, but I could walk during the day. Find a way to connect to Mother Earth. You could be a runner, you could be walking outside, you could go hiking, whatever. Find a way to get centered back into your body. I am super mental, as you can probably tell. Again, from now, my 20th book. I'm not that old, so I think I have a book for every year of adulthood at this point, and I didn't start writing books until I was well into adulthood. So I'm super into the mental. I got 2 degrees in journalism. You know, my wife's in the medical profession. You know, we're super cerebral folks, but it's even more important to just come back down and to find that centeredness. Again, Mother Earth, nature, whatever you want to call it. In fact, it doesn't really matter what you call it, as long as you connect. I actually went camping for the first time as an adult. I actually talk about that story. I totally forgot. I talk about it in Build From Now. So I talk about the camping story because of so much that I learned from that quick experience, taking my boys out camping. And that was just a different experience. And especially being a suburb/city kid that's originally from South Jersey, I didn't have any context for that. Now I understand at least a little bit. I'm not an advocate, but I understand a little bit more as far as why people care about it so much. And I get it. I get it now. And at least at minimum, I respect it. All right. So Niloufer Merchant, excellent book, The Power of Onlyness. Her and I were just talking about how we're peers in that way. It's similar to, again, Build From Now. Coming out tomorrow, pre-order, and it'll hit your mailbox, whatever, on midnight. And the book is actually split into two halves. There's always 2 halves. It's split into 2. My journalism brain is kicking in. It's like, that makes no sense, David. It's split in half. The first half is called An Outside Job. Second half is called An Inside Job. Here's the thing. The outside job are the systemic. See, I'm tongue-tied today, but I'm still showing up for y'all. That's the important thing. See, you don't have to be inspired. You just need to show up. You definitely don't need to be perfect. The first half talks about the outside job. Those are the systemic things that are going on in the world, particularly here in America, but I think all around the world. That's another discussion, but particularly here in America, it is as obvious as my hair being black and gray, right? So we have all kinds of issues going on. That's a fact. So if I do something, if you do something, if any of us do something, we're going to go up against these headwinds, these challenges, right? But those very headwinds and challenges, since we've been raised in these environments and have navigated through them, they've made our muscles a lot stronger. And there's certain resources that we have, and that's the inside job part, that's up to us to discover. So if we don't like the way that things are going on in the world, then those very things in the world that we don't like have developed our muscles in a lot of cases to change or defy, to uplift the current unfair systematic issues that are happening all around the world. That's the book. It's really as simple as that. Nilofer's book talks about that. I continue that conversation. In fact, I think I quote Nilofer's book a couple times, but check it out. If you learn more about your own resources, then you can go to take the free quiz at builtfromnowquiz.com, builtfromnowquiz.com. Take 2 minutes, maybe. It's 4 to 5 multiple choice questions. It's based obviously on the book, and you'll figure out if your main resource is focus, agility, time, or energy. That's focus, agility, time, or energy. Hundreds of you are taking it. I'm almost embarrassed by the amount of support because I'm just trying to make an impact in the world. So, my little indie imprint, thank you. But come through, it's completely free. It's going to be up forever, as far as I can tell, but well after the book launch is midnight. And come through, learn more about your biggest resource and help make an impact in the world. All right, so that was a quick tangent, but I want to make sure you understood what's going on. All right, so we got inspiration. Inspiration, we're going to talk about Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art. You need it on your shelf. Then we just talked about Mother Earth and connecting to the world. Power of Onlyness. You can be an individual. You also need a group to connect with. That's so important. The next one, I'm going to butcher it, and forgive me for my Indian in-laws, because I'm going to butcher this. But the next one is called pranayama. Pranayama. I actually know a tiny bit of Hindi too. This is embarrassing. What it means is breath. Control breath. I began my career as a video game journalist, but also as a hip hop journalist. You might see some of them on the shelf. I think they're a little bit low. So I used to be a regular writer for The Source, XXL, Spin. I mentioned that briefly in Build From Now. And if you've bought any of my collective works, then you've seen some of those articles. And they always talk about breath control when it comes to rappers. You talk about breath control when it comes to speakers. Jack. I learned a lot about breath control when I started doing my audiobooks, beginning with the original Bite-Sized Entrepreneur, the bestseller, when it came out 5 years ago. You guys are still buying it, so I so appreciate that support. That was my first audiobook, and man, was that a lesson for me. Because then you're writing all these things, and then suddenly it's like, oh, I have to say this. I did a run-on sentence with like 100 words. And I'm like, I have to say this in one breath. Suddenly I felt like I had to be a rapper, just like the rappers of the Jay-Z's, the Nas's, the ones that were really big back when I was in my heyday of hip hop writing. They had their breath control. If you Google breath control, rappers are going to come up. But the other thing that's going to come up is actually your health. And the idea of breath control really comes to shine in this new book called Breath. I'm forgetting the author's name because, again, I just woke up from a nap. But it's a bestseller at this point. I've heard really good things about the book. A lot of people have recommended it to me. And it's talking about the history of breath. And if you go back to my in-laws and their Hindi roots over in India, if you go back to the fighters, you think of Muhammad Ali, who would have been, I forget how old he would have been, but he just had a birthday a couple weeks ago. A couple weeks ago, he would have had his birthday if he hadn't passed away a few years ago. But if you think about him, he's bobbing and weaving. That's all breath control. And so being centered and being able to be focused. This falls into meditation as well. I've meditated almost every day for pushing 20 years now. But only meditate for a few minutes every morning, which has been great, as I talked about in my books. It's been great for me because it's worked when I was single living in New Orleans, or actually living on my own, but I wasn't single, but long distance living in New Orleans, to when I got married, to when I had my baby boy, to when I had my next baby boy, and I'm approaching middle age, married guy with 2 little kids, and I still find the time to do the meditation. But part of the meditation is the breath control. This gets into the history of that. And I think it's so important to think about how you breathe. One really quick thing, which I kind of skimmed over: the air that you breathe powers your brain. When you're scared, when you're nervous, when you're in fight or flight mode, then you stop breathing as much, right? Lose My Breath. Shout out to Destiny's Child. That's a great song. But lose my breath. I had to catch my breath. All those cliches and terms, that's because we stop breathing when we're scared or we think we're about to fight. Unfortunately, that breath, that oxygen, is the same thing that fuels our brain, which is why we can't think straight when we're scared. So learning breath control can help you stay cool in the toughest situations, public speaking being one of them. I'm a public speaking coach and also a speech coach over at Heroic Public Speaking. Shout out to them. Been doing that for the last couple of years. And I also coach on a one-on-one basis over at DamonBrown.net. And and helping people doing their speeches, doing their talks, the TED Talks I've done and all that, and people that I've coached and consulted. Breath control is a really big part of it. Because if you don't have breath control, you're not going to be able to make your point, right? And suddenly I'm super conscious about how I'm breathing. So breath, check it out. Really interesting book. The next one is Stillness. If any of y'all know me, I've talked about this a lot. Sometimes stopping is the best way to move forward. Stillness Is the Key. It's by Ryan Holiday. And I believe it's also by Stephen Hanselman, but I might be wrong. I need to double check. This one actually must be Ryan Holiday. The Stoic books are also with Stephen Hanselman. I connected with him online. Shout out to Stephen. This book is great. And it's part of his trilogy where he talks about the obstacle is the way and the ego is the enemy. I believe this is the last one. I believe this is the last one that came out about a year ago. And I remember reading it on a plane. I had a million things going on. It was the perfect time to read it. Ryan is really good at breaking things down to their simplest, very last compound, as they used to say back in the day. Shout out to KRS-One. But breaking things really, really down into small incremental steps. I really appreciated his work while I was working on my own stuff, The Bite-Sized Entrepreneur, hence the bite size in the title. And he talks about how you actually stopping is moving forward. What we often forget is that our brain continues to work on things when we seem to be stopping. So when I took my really quick cat nap earlier today, my brain was still working. In fact, I woke up and I had clarity as far as what I was going to say to y'all today. I had clarity about my book launch tomorrow with the Build From Now. I had clarity about a lot of things. So even if something doesn't seem to be working, again, me playing with my Legos, me playing with my son's Legos, they're not mine. Me playing with my son's Legos and having insights or, a better idea of how to move forward. Well, that's connected. All is connected. And so when you get still, you actually are able to be strategic. I love strategy. You guys probably figure it out if you're listening any time. I love strategy. Forget the quick hits. How can we be strategic? I love it, but I can't say it. How can we be strategic and make the biggest impact? Right now, my biggest impact is coming out with a new book, Build From Now. Again, comes out at midnight. So excited about it. I'm going to keep talking about it. Hope you guys enjoy it. Build From Now comes out at midnight. This is the best way for me to make the biggest impact. But that required still enough last year. It was really hard to be still last year. This is probably one of the most difficult books that I've written. Again, this is my 25th book with Build From Now. But that required a level of stillness. That means with the chaos going on outside and inside, that means the health concerns and the issues. That means taking care of my little kids because I'm the primary caretaker. My wife has a more traditional job, so she's out of the house. Luckily, she's safe. That required stillness. But that stillness for those several months that I worked on Build From Now suddenly I'm able to present this gift to you. But it required being still. It required getting quiet with myself. It required, again, sitting down and writing 30,000 words, which last year was a very difficult thing to do. That's not to say that I'm special or that I should get props for that, more that I had to get still for that to happen. And I think I mentioned that on my YouTube recently, but chaos is always happening. Changes are always happening. You look at any period of time where you want to start your business, you want to make impact in the world, there will be something that you're going to go up against. Always, always. Last year was super obvious, but 2019 wasn't a picnic either, nor was 2018, nor was the year before that, or when I was in the heyday of my entrepreneurship from 2013 to 2015, that was not an easy time either. What were you doing during those 2 years? Was that an easy time for you? It was not an easy time for me. And so creating that stillness allows you to be strategic, almost said strategicized, to be strategic about where you're going to put your energy. That's a big tenet, as you can imagine, of Built From Now, because I talk about the 4 resources: focus, agility, time, and energy. Again, you can take the quiz at builtfromnowquiz.com. I will throw it up again for y'all that are just joining. And you can take that quiz to figure out what your biggest resource is. The only way you're going to figure out what your biggest resource is to get still enough to take the resource quiz. It's to get still enough, if you're interested, to buy the book. It's to get still enough to be by yourself and to think about where your biggest strengths and resources are, and perhaps where your weaknesses or lower points are. How else are you going to figure that out? If you're just doing, you're not going to make it. Even with my my daily YouTube channel, and I will put that link right now. I think I have it here. Here you go. With Bring Your Worth TV, obviously based on my book from a couple years ago, Bring Your Worth, the name of my new imprint, publishing imprint. I'm connecting with daily, 11:30 a.m. every single day. Doing that since late December, right before Christmas. And me doing that required strategy. I had to be still enough because I've never done a daily live streaming or daily YouTube channel. I don't know what I'm doing. But that new idea hit me a while ago, and it took time for me to be still and figure out how I wanted to do it. And I figured out how I want to do it. Hopefully it's of service to y'all. But that required stopping first. Anyway, Stillness is the Key. It's the last book of the trilogy, I believe. I'd recommend the whole trilogy, but even if you want to start here, it's fine to start here. These books are really good as far as picking up, and I recommend that. All right, so we're going to talk about the opposite side. So we've talked about, and recap to all the lovely authors, we've talked about inspiration, and that begins with The War of Art. He's saying don't wait to get inspired, but he tells you how to find that inspiration anyway. Excellent book. Again, I got my dog-eared copy right now. The Power of Onlyness, if you're going to talk about Mother Earth and connecting to nature. And she has an excellent, as I showed earlier, she has an excellent TED Talk. If you look up Nilofer Merchant, I showed the link earlier, so you can rewind it for that. But I'm talking how you be an individual within a group, and groups go together. And I think if you want to get there faster, how's the saying go? If you want to get there faster, go alone. If you want to get there stronger or better, then go as a group. That's what she's talking about. And love her work. Really good stuff. I'm not going to attempt to say the Hindi word again for threat of me getting kicked out of my own house. But if you want to work on your breath control, I think it's so important, particularly if you want to do public speaking, if you want to connect with people, even if you're pitching to venture capitalists, you're pitching to your customers, as I've been doing, like Built From Now comes out at midnight. This is a pitch, right? Whatever type of way you're interacting with other people, or even interacting with yourself, breath control is so important. Otherwise, you're going to get winded, your head will start to hurt. I've known the times when I wasn't controlling my breath and I felt awful. And then people can pick up on that. And then you start to lose oxygen to your brain. Not a good look. Stillness is key, because it's important to really be still as you see, I'm about to do it again, as you strategize what you're doing. And anything that I'm doing right now, I recently had a meeting, networking meeting with someone, and they said, I looked at your LinkedIn. I was so impressed because you do so many things. And what I had to clarify is that I do a lot of things which I own. That's part of my personality and part of how I make an impact. But everything that I do is strategic. So if you look at it, there's a pattern. I argue there's a pattern with everyone. So I talk about that in the Build From Now predecessor, Bring Your Worth, because one of the things I talk about is everything is a pattern. But what I explained to them was that it was strategic because there's always time to do that. So I can have the daily Bring Your Worth TV thing that I'm doing over at the YouTube channel, which I showed you a link to. It's at youtube.com/BrownDamon. I can have my book launch and all those things, but it's not like I'm just doing stuff. All of them have a system. I thought about all this and designed all this last year, while we were, sheltering in place, while all this stuff was going on in the world. I already envisioned what I'm doing with you right now. So if you don't have a vision, it gets kind of hard to impact the world. And being still, whether you meditate or just literally take a quick nap, as I did before this program, find your stillness. All right, we're going to talk about the opposite now with my buddy, Seth Godin, and that is one of my favorites of all time. It's called The Dip. Seth Godin is legendary marketer, but now he's changed more to thought leader. I don't know. He's mentored me through his programs, and I don't know if he'd be comfortable with thought leader. He's very specific about the impact he's trying to make on the world. So I'm going to leave him alone. But this book is phenomenal. It's extremely short. I got the audiobook. Actually, I recommended it on the audiobooks a few weeks ago. I recommend it again. Get it in book form. It's a really good book. I'm guessing it's about the size of Bring Your Worth, which is a small book. You can still grab it. In fact, it might be good to grab this and to get prepped for Built From Now coming out at midnight. But it's a small book. I listened to it as an audiobook. Obviously, I listened to it, and it's probably about an hour and a half long. It is phenomenal. What he talks about is when to move and when not to move. How many of y'all have quit something? I quit things regularly, and I found, and if you read my column or my book, any of my books, you know this. I found that quitting is actually a quick path to success, which means you can't do everything, right? I don't make a full-time living as a journalist anymore. That's a full-time job. So I had to quit journalism. I was always a freelancer, so I was always independent. But I had to quote unquote quit journalism so I could start writing books. I just did my 25th book. Coming out midnight. If I didn't quit journalism, quote unquote, I'm still a journalist, so I sell my column with ink. I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be on taking over the Costco's Instagram, 3 p.m. tomorrow. That's on launch day. If you go over 3 p.m. tomorrow, Pacific Standard Time, I'll be doing their Instagram, which will be a lot of fun. I still write for Costco Connections. I'm still writing books, but I had to quit some of journalism and change my identity to actually get to the next level. Otherwise, I wouldn't be speaking. Once I started writing books, I had to quit writing books so much because to promote the books, I had to go on the road. So I became more of a public speaker. That got me to TED. But I wouldn't have gotten to TED. I just did my 4th TED Talk. So I wouldn't have gotten to TED at all if I hadn't quit being an author. If I wouldn't have been an author, I wouldn't be an author right now if I didn't quit being a full-time journalist. So you might be quitting more than you think. What Seth's book is really good about as far as knowing when to quit and what the process is as you think about it. This goes back to, if you go back to the original image on the title screen, to movement. You have to know when to move. I talk about this a lot in Built From Now, the new book coming out at midnight. And yeah, it's not about forcing things to happen. It's about knowing the right timing. That has driven my career for years, probably decades at this point, probably before I became an adult, because I really like rhythm. Again, I used to be a music journalist. So I like the rhythm. I like seeing a cadence in things. I feel like, speaking of the universe, because we were talking about Mother Earth, with Nilofer's book and her TED Talk, finding the natural rhythm of the universe and then finding almost like double dutch. You see I'm doing the motion, almost like double dutch, you're jumping in there. And that's way better than trying to force the rope to go a certain way. Seth Godin's book is all about this, and that's why I love it so. Again, I got this audiobook like my eldest kid was a baby, so they had to be like 7, 8 years ago. Phenomenal book. I think it just had the 20th anniversary of it. It is fantastic. I highly recommend it. You know? And so the last one I want to talk about is music. I love music. This is a tough one to find a book on, and not because I have any lack of music books. In fact, I think this whole bottom row right here is music books. I have not written any books directly about music, but I've done book proposals and I was in talks about music. I'm a big music nerd, so I got a catalog. Again, Raymond Johnson, shout out to him. He's known as Purple Fluorite. He actually produced and created my theme song for Bring Your Worth. You'll find the link over there. Shout out to him. He and I used to go record shopping, back in Chicago, right after I finished grad school at Northwestern. And so I used to have a record collection and the whole thing. It's kind of hard to do that as I moved across the country and so forth, particularly post-Hurricane Katrina, which I went through. And I'm really into music. It was tough to find one. But if I were to pick one, I think this would be the best one to start with. This is Decoded from Jay-Z, only from Jay-Z. If you know any of the lore, she's not even lore, it's just truth. He was actually supposed to do a biography with Dream Hampton, who's one of the most prominent music journalists, particularly in the hip hop and urban space and African American space that has ever been. And he felt like it was too much. And so this ended up being the result of him, like a year or two later, going a different direction and really talking about his lyrics. This is about as close you're going to get to a biography, at least on paper, of Jay-Z. He just became a billionaire a couple years ago. I have a video about it, actually about a year ago. I have a video about it over at my YouTube channel at youtube.com/BrownDamon. It just popped up a few days ago. Again, I'm recording stuff in advance, but let me give you a link to my YouTube channel. There you go. Forgive me, I'm a little bit slow with the comments here. But youtube.com/BrownDamon. It's my Bring Your Worth TV. You check out Bring Your Worth TV. See one of my 10 shows where I talk about how Jay-Z became a millionaire. Anyway, this book, Decoded, I love it. I have a copy somewhere, but I think it's in one of my boxes since we moved. But it's phenomenal. It's similar to Miller First book. It's about the same size. It's thick, it's big, it's luscious, and he breaks down the lyrics to all of his songs. He is prolific. Just like I talked about, I'm on my 25th book. He seemed like a poet. And so he talks about all the different lyrics, but within the lyrics, obviously, you see the biography, and it's so beautifully done. Let's bring it back to you, though. I'll recommend this book, but only because music ends up being almost like a shortcut, not even a shortcut, a quick path to you changing your mood and getting a feeling. I have ironically, just out of coincidence, just launched the Bring Your Worth, official Bring Your Worth playlist, which I'm happy to share right here. And it has about 30 or so songs that represent Bring Your Worth. It is explicit and it is an intense playlist, but it's also a very intense book. And so it kind of fits the flavor of that. But the ideas really represent, how can I put it? Doing these listening to music, doing these playlists, working and creating different ideas, music gives us a shortcut to making that happen. It gives us a quick way to express ourselves. And that's one of the reasons why, if I can take a guess, I think that's one of the reasons why Jay-Z didn't want to do the straight up book, because he might have a rap line that says that. He has he already put his biography in his lyrics. I'm a Jay-Z fan. I interviewed him for the New York Post about 10, 15 years ago. Cool guy. I know literally all of his music, and I've been following his stuff. Actually, I quote him a couple times in Built From Now, again, coming out at midnight. And yeah, it's like the music tells the story. I think it's the same thing with what we through and how we how we deal with things, that music can be the ultimate shortcut. And apologies for the chat bomb here, but I want to give y'all different ways to access it. The official Build From Now playlist is on Spotify. I just showed the Apple link to it, and it's also available on YouTube as a video thing. That's also directly on my YouTube channel. So use music as a way to find self-support. The Build From Now playlist is an example of that, where I listen to that playlist and I'm ready to talk to y'all for an hour, even though I just took a nap and the kids are doing their thing and I'm busy and I have this big launch that's happening at midnight tonight. But I'm here for y'all, and music is a part of that. So consider music to be one of those, if you're looking at them like the infinity rings, consider music to be one of those rings. It's one of those things. So let's take it from the top. I feel like I'm expanding on everything today. I don't want to take too much of y'all's time, but I want to make sure that I gave something of value. So if we start from the top, there are 6 big ways to feel stronger today. The first way is to really embrace inspiration. And you want to talk about that with The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Excellent book. It's super short, extremely powerful, like a punch in the gut. Or more like a kick in the behind, where it will get you going. If you feel stuck and you're feeling uninspired, Stephen, I say that. Man, powerful book. If you're looking to connect more with Mother Earth and connect more with the community at large, The Power of Onlyness by Nilofer Merchant. Again, fascinating stuff. I will throw her TED Talk back up there too. It's one of the top TED Talks in the world. It's 4 minutes long. It talks about the power of walking. Highly recommend that one, right? Next one would be, your next power would be breath control and getting control of yourself. I highly recommend breath. I've heard so many things about it. I'm checking it out as we speak. So breath is I think it's already a bestseller and it's been recommended by so many people. Number 4, get into your stillness. Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday. The last of his trilogy of books with Ego is the Enemy and the Obstacle is the Way. This is a good conclusion to them. I have the physical book, but the audiobook I'm sure is great. The Daily Soak is also a good audiobook to listen to, and I recommend that when I did about audiobooks. If you go to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/BrownDamon, or if you go to my earlier Amazon Lives, you can check that out. If you need to know about when to move, this is about The Dip by Seth Godin. Again, love his work. This is my favorite book of his, probably by far. His books are great. This is my favorite. It's short. It's to the point, just like Seth. It's short, to the point, packs a punch. You have to know when to leave. You have to know when to leave. Because if you move, you know when to leave. You have to know when to stay. We often stay too long because of our ego, because we won't get comfortable. This tells you, no, it's time to go. And lastly, my favorite, music, Decoded by Jay-Z. Breaks down his lyrics. It is fascinating, but also a good reminder that music actually informs our thinking. And as I just mentioned, I just put up that's Apple, that's Spotify, and that's YouTube for the official Build From Now playlist. Celebrate the book, Build From Now, coming out tomorrow, midnight tonight, wherever you are. It's hitting shelves. Pre-order now. You can pre-order from me to get a special gift. You can pre-order over here on Amazon, and they will ship it to you. You'll go up in the morning, and or stay up tonight, whatever you want to do. I might be staying up tonight to go ahead and enjoy the book, and I'll be waiting for you, and I can't wait to get your feedback. If you want to go ahead and learn more about your own resources, you can take a free quiz, super quick, at buildfromnowquiz.com. To buy the book for, you can just come through and get those insights. I'm trying to serve you. And I think that's everything. It's a lot going on. I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a live stream here at 11:30 with a special reading from Build From Now. And after that, I will be doing Costco. And I'm going to be taking over Costco's Instagram, which is crazy. I'm a regular columnist, a regular writer for Costco Connections. They are giving me the Instagram. So I'm going to be on there 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to be talking about how to work from home with kids, giving a bunch of tips. I think it's going to be 3. Still working on them. 3 tips how to work from home with kids, and also break a bunch of Build Now, which talks about, like, in a meta way, I'm going to be talking about how I wrote this book with 2 little kids at home. Woo! Such a journey and so much exciting stuff going on. Again, you can learn more about me at damonbrown.net. You take the free quiz at buildfromnowquiz.com. Finally getting tongue-tied. Speaking of breath control, buildfromnowquiz.com. And lastly, you can join my YouTube channel every day, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You get some new gems, just like hopefully I dropped some today at Bring Your Worth TV. And that's youtube.com/BrownDamon. Check it out. You click on there, you can subscribe. You won't miss anything. Man, it's go time. I'm so excited to begin the book to y'all. I'm beaming. If you could see me directly, you could see that I'm almost blushing right now because I've been waiting to get this book for y'all. I can finally deliver. So until we meet tomorrow, when this book is out, I'll see you on the other side. Remember that you can always bring your worth and that you can always build from now. You take care of yourselves.